The tide may be turning in Ukraine's favor in a city that its forces have been trying to keep for months. And we have new dramatic footage showing the battle for Bakhmut. Russia is now acknowledging its troops have been forced to pull back from northern areas around Bakhmut. The head of the Wagner Group says it's not a tactical retreat, but rather Russian forces are simply falling out of formation. CNN's Nick Clayton-Walsh joins us live now from Zaporizhzhia. Obviously, you have Prigozhin calling out the Russian military here, saying that actually they've lost about 5 square kilometers of territory just in one day alone. Just walk us through what more we know on that front.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the culmination of a week now of Yevgeny Prigozhin using the Telegram social media channel to publicly call out the Russian top brass. He did, in fact, say that 2 days ago he might even abandon Bakhmut, but the outcome of this extraordinary bout of criticism of Russia's top brass has been today Yevgeny Prigozhin to claim that Russia's Ministry of Defense troops have moved into the outskirts of Bakhmut around his Wagner mercenaries who hold the city, and essentially over the past 24 hours have given up 5 square kilometers to the northwest of that city area. Now, he says this now has given Ukrainian armed forces the high ground, which could be very advantageous for them moving forwards. And indeed, too, some of that is backed up by a statement from the Russian Ministry of Defense that sort of somewhat deceptively, and I'm almost borrow from Prigozhin's description of it, talk about their soldiers moving back to a more advantageous position. Prigozhin called that out, really, saying that the Russian Ministry of Defense needed to stop lying about the reality of the ground. But this bickering between Russia's military elite, the mercenaries on one side demanding more shells, artillery shells from the military on the other, the military moving in, it seems, on the outskirts of the city, yet pulling back in some areas, and the mercenary Wagner Group staying in the city centre and claiming that they continue to take more areas there. That is simply the worst signal, almost unimaginable, frankly, a year ago in Putin's Russia, showing how rattled, how disunified Moscow's military elite are in this key city that's been such a symbolic task for them. They've utterly failed to comprehensively take, and are now in fact seeing Ukraine in small amounts here. Let's not overstate the significance of these advances. In small amounts, though, beginning to reclaim territory. That could herald something more. What it absolutely unequivocally does in the days and weeks ahead is give a signal of probably low Russian morale, low Russian cohesion ahead of a Ukrainian counter-offensive, which a senior US official said has begun its shaping operation stage. That's essentially where key parts of Russian infrastructure, fuel, supplies, other elements of their occupation of southern, eastern and Crimea in Ukraine may well end up being targeted with precision strikes. That fits what we've been seeing, frankly, over the past 2 to 3 weeks, citing reports from pro-Russian officials in the occupied areas, but a sign of the building potential intensity as ahead of Ukraine's counter-offensive that its president says has yet to start, wanting more Western weapons, and 2, this startling display of Russian disunity and tiny amounts of retreat around Bakhmut, a city which they've invested, that's the wrong word entirely, squandered so many thousands of human lives in trying to capture. Zane?
Nick Clayton-Walsh, live for us there. Thank you so much.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky may be meeting with the Pope on Saturday in Rome, according to Italian's media outlets. Mr. Zelensky is already set to meet Italy's President and Prime Minister during his visit. Last month, Pope Francis said the Vatican is on a mission to end the war in Ukraine. Kyiv has also asked the Holy See to help return Ukrainian children who were forcibly deported to Russia.